What's going on, guys? Zach here. I hope you're all having a great day, evening, afternoon, whatever time it is, wherever you're watching this. Today we're going to go over about getting over your insecurities while healing for the first time, or even if you're just starting to get used to it, because Thursday I decided to leave DPS behind for a little bit, just for a night, and give healing a shot, just so I could see what it was like, especially with BFA coming up. I don't know what roles I want to do. I've never really healed in a raid before, except for LFR, but I went into my first normal raid with So Breezy, and his community raid night. It was great, good time, but we're going to go over the experience, things I learned and whatnot, so let's dive right in. So to avoid going in there completely unprepared, I bought your typical potions, flasks, augment runes, and the like, but I also downloaded Healbot Continued, which I assume is just a newer version of Healbot. Said it was updated like 3 days ago at the time of me going in the raid, but it made healing significantly easier. If you're considering healing, definitely a must-have add-on. Pretty self-explanatory. You just click on a name while it's highlighted. A heal spell will automatically go out to those. You can customize what heal spell goes out, and then once you target them, you can do whatever heal spell you want off your action bars. Really cool add-on for making sure everyone's health is at full. Really easy to maneuver and use. Highly recommend it. That's just a little plug for the add-on. Let's get into the experience I had on my first night raiding as a healer. So if you're like me, the first thing that you're going to worry about is being bad at the new role that you've chosen to fulfill. I was very terrified of being a healer. I was very nervous because guess what? All eyes were on me. At least that's what I thought it was going to be like, and I was right because we only had 2 healers at the beginning of the raid. We eventually got a third, but for someone responsible for half the healing of an entire raid, it's pretty scary, especially when you have no idea what you're doing. So the first fight was pretty easy, Garathi Worldbreaker. So we're not going to get into that, we're not going to get into Hounds. I faced my first real challenge when it came to ENR, and the fight itself is not difficult. Anyone who's done the raid will tell you that. But it's the fact that in normal mode everything was dying so quick, I didn't even have time to get casts off, because everyone would just be moving on to the next, everyone would be out of range, and even if you slap down an AoE heal, it still takes a little bit for people to get healed in it, so it wasn't really effective, so there were some high casualties, and that was pretty early on to the raid. That was the 4th boss we faced, or third or 4th, so that kinda, it brought me down a little bit, because there were a lot of people dead. I felt personally responsible. There were a couple comments, but nothing you can't brush off with, like, hey, I told you guys it's my first time. So it was, overall, it was a good experience, especially, Veramathras. That was a very easy fight to heal if you have the AoEs, because you just plop it down because everyone stacks. It's, overall, healing was fun. It was just straight up fun. Few of the insecurities I had, like I said, was going in and not knowing what to do or doing poorly. And yes, I did poorly for probably the first half of the raid, but eventually I got better as the raid progressed. I learned what all my spells did after doing a little reading beforehand. I learned how to navigate Healbot, which was a huge advantage. I seriously can't recommend Healbot enough. And most of all, I learned how to predict where players are going to move to put down the AoE spell, and I learned what spells were actually good. For the first half of the raid, I had Rejuvenation on the default for Healbot. I switched that up to Wild Growth so it would latch onto a few different people. Used Rejuve for the shift click, and guess what? All of a sudden my my healing went through the roof. It was great. It was a really fun experience, and you know what? We got through the entire raid. There was a point where I did have to go, but then, you know, I was told, as a healer, you're obligated to stay to the end. So I canceled some plans, stayed till the end, and honestly, I'm really happy I did, because I got a couple of screenshots here I'm going to show you guys of Mr. John Bass telling me how I did on my first time healing. And guess what, guys? This can happen to you too. There wasn't a bad word to be said. I was told that, yeah, I should consider it as a main spec because I did really well, especially for my first time out. And that's not an uncommon thing. If you try a new role and you get comfortable with it as the raid night goes on and you have fun with it, especially, everything just kind of clicks in the motion. You too can pick up a new role just like that. And now I've done every role in a raid. I've tanked, I've DPS'd, I've healed. The tanking video, how to deal with the insecurities, tanking edition is going to be next. If you guys want, if we can get this video to like, I don't know, something dumb like 5 likes. Well, I'll make that video for you guys. So that's going to be it for this video. Honestly, don't be afraid to try new things. Just go for it. As Shallow LaBeouf says, just do it. And who knows, you may surprise yourself. And if you guys liked the video, please leave a like. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. We got new content coming on all the time. And until next time, guys, stay classy.